All right, today we are going to unpack a concept that sits right at the intersection of modern law and business. It's called transactional pollution. And no, this isn't just about smokestacks and oil spills. It's about the core conflict between economic progress and environmental liability, a conflict that you are going to be dealing with every single day in your legal careers. So let's just jump right in with a question that gets to the heart of it all. What is the hidden environmental liability that's lurking in pretty much every business transaction? Seriously, think about it. From a simple purchase to a massive corporate merger, there is this unseen cost that can blow up into tort claims, huge regulatory fines, and major corporate responsibility headaches. Understanding this is absolutely crucial.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll talk about how this is really a consequence of progress itself. Then, we are going to nail down a solid legal definition for transactional pollution. After that, we'll break down the 4 main ways this harm shows up, dig into the root causes, explore some solutions, and then, most importantly, bring it all back to your role in this whole balancing act.
So first up, let's set the stage. The thing to get your head around is that pollution isn't always caused by some cartoon villain intentionally dumping sludge into a river. There's no mens rea. Way more often, it's just an unintended side effect of all the economic activity that makes our world go round. And as you know, in law, you don't always need intent to establish liability.
And that lack of intent is exactly why having a precise definition is so important. You should think of transactional pollution as a key term, a piece of legal vocabulary you're going to see in environmental law, corporate law, and torts. It's the framework we use to figure out who's responsible for the harm, even when nobody meant for it to happen. So let's get down to it. Transactional pollution is the damage caused during normal, everyday business activities. The magic word here, the legal trigger, is transactional. It creates a direct link between the environmental harm and a specific economic action, making a thing, selling a thing, using a machine. It's the pollution that's born from the simple act of doing business.
And this is where the theory gets real. Look at this. Each one of these is a whole field of law. Factory production, you're talking corporate compliance, emissions permits, administrative law. Driving a car, that's all about transportation regulations. And farming? Wow, that's a huge area of environmental law, dealing with things like the Clean Water Act and chemical use. Every single one of these is a potential lawsuit just waiting to happen.
Now, to regulate this stuff and to litigate it, you've got to be able to categorize the harm. So let's break transactional pollution down into its 4 main types, or, as you might start to see them, 4 distinct categories of potential legal liability.
First up, we've got air pollution. We're talking about all the nasty gases from factories and cars that mess up the air we breathe. Legally speaking, this is governed by a super complex web of rules, like the Clean Air Act, which sets the limits on what can be pumped into the atmosphere by everything from a giant power plant to your own car.
Second, water pollution. This is when industrial waste or agricultural runoff gets into our rivers, lakes, and oceans. This is a massive area for lawsuits, and it often comes down to one simple principle: the polluter pays. The legal fight is almost always about pinning down who's responsible and who has to pay for the cleanup.
Third on our list is land pollution. Now we're squarely in the world of property law, zoning, and waste management rules. Illegally dumping construction debris isn't just ugly. It can create what's known as a toxic tort, which tanks property values and creates this long-term liability nightmare for both the landowner and the person who did the dumping. And finally, noise pollution. Yeah, it might seem a little less serious, but it is absolutely a legally recognized harm. It's often fought out in court as a nuisance claim. The big legal question is always, does the noise unreasonably interfere with someone's ability to just enjoy their own property? This comes up all the time when you've got homes built near industrial zones.
Okay, so we've identified the different types of harm. Now we have to dig deeper and look at the why. In legal terms, we're analyzing the cause of action. What actions, or maybe more importantly, what inactions actually lead to all this environmental damage? Figuring this out is the key to determining who's liable.
Well, the causes are usually systemic, not malicious. You'll rarely find a case where the company's board set out with the deliberate goal to pollute. Instead, liability usually comes from a kind of corporate negligence, a failure to plan ahead. It's rooted in our reliance on fossil fuels or, cutting corners on waste disposal to save a few bucks. These are all business decisions, and those decisions have very real legal consequences.
So what's the answer? How does the law even begin to fix this? Well, the solutions aren't just a list of feel-good environmental tips. They are actual, actionable frameworks for regulation and corporate policy that future lawyers, people like you, are going to help build and enforce.
This slide really illustrates the multi-pronged legal approach. Use clean energy, that's all about government incentives, subsidies, and carbon taxes. Reduce, reuse, recycle, and proper waste disposal, those are mandated by law at every level. Promoting eco-friendly products, that involves consumer protection laws and making sure labels are truthful. Every one of these steps is a place where the law can make a difference.
And all of this brings us right back to you. Because as you launch your careers, you're going to be the ones standing at this really critical and often really contentious intersection of law, business, and the environment. This quote right here, it just perfectly captures the dilemma, doesn't it? Of course, economic activity is important. It's essential. But it can't come at any cost. Your job, whether you end up as in-house counsel for a corporation, a government regulator, or a lawyer for an environmental group, will be to navigate this tension, to find that careful balance between allowing progress and preventing harm.
And please, remember this, transactional pollution is not some niche topic for a handful of environmental lawyers. It is everywhere. It's in corporate compliance checklists. It's in the fine print of international trade deals. It's the entire basis for tort claims that affect whole communities. It is woven into the very fabric of modern law.
So that leaves us with the ultimate question, the one you need to start thinking about right now. As a future lawyer, as someone who will shape these rules and argue these cases, where are you going to draw the line between commerce and consequence? Your answer to that is going to help define the future of our economy and our planet.